Go. And there you are. Hi, you're watching and listening to Sipping Off the Cuff on Tequila Aficionado Media on all of our channels and networks. I'm Mike Morales here in sweltering San Antonio. That young man out there is
Rick Levy in sunny Escondido, California.
And you're going to have to speak up a little bit, Rick, again, for some reason. Not sure why, but that's okay.
Escondido.
The password is. Remember that one? The password is. That's what we're having tonight, boys and girls. We're having Penta Tequila. This is brand new. You may or may not have seen this on out there in the wild. I know a little bit about it. If you've been following this particular line of questioning of reviews, you know that this one has a. I've been very excited to try and taste this for at least a year. Okay, the packaging, we had to nominate these guys for Brands of Promise in packaging, bar none. This is look at the boxes. Look at this one. The Anejo comes in this chocolate box, and you can see if you hold it to the light, you can actually see the word Anejo in even darker chocolate. Okay, it's like it's almost a. It's like that magic. See that? See where it says Anejo right there? So anyway, we've had a lot of fun with this brand because there's so much work that goes into it. But what we're going to do is we're going to taste it first, and then we're going to give you all the ins and outs. So what are you going to use tonight, Rick? I'm using my Glencairn.
I'm using my Stossel Jarrito.
Okay, so let's go here. I see bubbles. I see bubbles in my glass. You know how I love bubbles.
He loves the bubbles.
Yeah, there you go. Now, for aging purposes, how many years is this one aged?
The Anejo is 14 months in a combination of new and seasoned French, American, and Hungarian barrels.
Hungarian. Who knew that there were barrels? Only a wine guy. Now, I would. The reason I say only wine guys know what that is because the 5 owners who are involved in this are winemakers. They're from Napa, right?
Right.
So as you can see, this is just gorgeous. It's not very dark though, which is okay. Nothing wrong with that.
There's some really nice legs on it.
Nice legs and tears on this one. Very pretty. In fact, can anybody see that? Yeah, you can see that on my blank wall. Hey, is that a Zoom background you've got there?
No, that's the real thing.
Beautiful legs and tears, folks. This is just if you've been with us through this tasting, you know that the Diamante, they're calling it. It is a Cristallino. Okay, so they don't have a Blanco per se. It's a Tequila Reposado Cristallino, Penta Diamante. The Reposado is fairly young for a Repo. Yep. And
yeah, the Repo is 9 months. So
we have fallen all over ourselves because the just the nose. There's so much going on in the nose, and I'll be honest, I just broke the seal. We both just broke the seal on ours. You're gonna have to let it open up. It's reacting very much like a wine, honestly.
Yeah, it is reacting with the air.
The first 2 expressions, you're gonna have to sit with it, and then once it opens up for you, you're gonna want to sip it because the stuff that's happening there is too much to unpack. It's too much.
It'll open up and then it'll take you places.
If you're not careful, you'll be sequestered in place, but that's what we do anyway. Wow. Now some of the wood notes are heartier. They're coming across a lot more focused now in the añejo than they did in the repo.
Yeah, I'm wondering if I blew out my olfactory sense on the other two expressions.
Yeah. Now on the reposado, I detected just a hint of anise, like in the center, and um, I'm not. I don't think I'm getting that right now. But you said you were getting some dried fruit on the reposado, so that to me that's coming from the barrel, and I think the more sips that I took, the drier the tannins and whatever wine barrels they were using. I would imagine it's the Hungarian wine, the Hungarian barrels, were doing their job. You know, they were coming through now.
And I think the añejo is more than just an older version of the reposado. I think they might be, treating this expression as like a completely different continuity, maybe. If that's the right.
We can almost hear you.
Sorry, I'll try to boost my audio in post production.
There you go. Speak louder. Our top story tonight. Oh wow! This is definitely as it opens up. There are more characteristics coming through, and it even smells drier.
Yeah. All right, I'm going in.
Let's do it. Mm. Oh my God! Wow. Wow.
Big wood finish. A lot of spice.
Finish. Yeah, this finish, holy cow, outstanding. And it's a warm fuzzy now. It's almost like it's reacting almost like a mezcal.
I'm getting just the smallest hint of sweetness on the initial hit on the palate, but there's not a lot of sweetness to the profile.
No, the sweet. It's funny thing is if there's any sweetness on the entry, it's probably from the agave because they're using agave from all the 5 growing regions. Kind of like an 80-20 split, probably. But we talked about it in the reposado where the French oak wasn't coming across like some of the tequilas that we have tasted that are exclusively French oak. This one doesn't have that. It's like you said, the sweetness only happens at the rear, at the end of the palate, not at the front, and it's not coating. It's interesting that the more of these I had with the repo, the more it began to coat the palate in kind of a wine kind of way. It was drier, and I'm getting the same thing here. Not like a bourbon dryness, because that's just from the booze itself, I think. But there's like a wine quality to it.
Yeah, well, it's not surprising with the makers.
So what's our price point on this baby?
Yeah, so
what's it going to set me back, Rick?
The Anejo is going to set you back $150 suggested retail.
But see, this is an añejo that reacts a lot. Like there are some extra añejos that have to get to this point to have this much character in it. They're doing this by blending the barrels, and how many months was this añejo?
It is 14 months.
So they're getting the characteristics of an extra añejo out of an añejo at 14 months by blending barrels.
Yeah. And so they have an emphasis on new oak, But for their used barrels, they have a mix of 1 year, 3 year, 5 year, 10 year, and 20-year barrels.
Yeah.
So
that was here's the story. Okay. I interviewed the people involved in this. There are 5 partners. That's why it's called Penta. But the person who's involved in this is one of the master distillers. His name is Jose Aceves, and we've interviewed him on our open bar. We are going to have him in one of our future profiles in Agave Spirits books. He and his brothers run Casa Aceves, and they're like a full service house. So not only can they help you with the agave, they can help you with he works with certain distilleries, and he can help you blend it. So he was telling me in this interview about this Penta and how he was jumping through all these hoops and blending and the different ages of the barrels and all that stuff that you just said. He told me in the interview, and I said, how do I get samples? This was even before it went on market, all right? And I've been chasing it for a year. I've been trying to get this tequila to us. And so finally, I got a hold of them through their Instagram, because they didn't have an Instagram up until recently. And it turns out that the guy that is working with them is in Houston. And he had just started working with them when the whole pandemic hit the fan. Okay, so he's been trying to get it into the Houston area as well as Dallas, and he's got family here in San Antonio. So hopefully you'll see this by the time you see this video. It'll be all over Texas. So, and I'm sure it's somewhere in California. I gotta say though, Rick, $150 for this Anejo is not a bad deal.
It's a pretty singular Anejo.
Now, are we getting as much? Are you sensing as much characteristics on the Anejo as we get on the Reposado, or is it or less faceted, let's say, than the first two?
I'm trying to figure that out, because I think the first comment you made, where this is really focusing on the deeper wood notes, is really key to this profile. So, we're kind of working in a different end of the palette, I guess. And I don't mean the palette, I mean like the palette.
Different end of the aroma and flavor wheel.
Right. So, there could be, I think there's a lot going in here that you could still pick apart. It's just in another part of that flavor wheel and aroma wheel.
Yeah, and the other thing too is you need to spend some time with it. I mean, we try not to go too long on some of these videos, but you can't help it sometimes, because
as it's opening up, I'm now, I'm getting a little bit of coffee. I'm getting a little bit of caramel and vanilla, and a little bit of that dried fruit too.
Yeah. I know you detected. You said you mentioned that dried fruit, and it could be, there's a certain dryness, and then there's this undertone. I want to say tannins. I want to say that there's some kind of wine element and I'm not a big wine guy. So some of you wine guys out there might be able to pull this out better than we could.
It has that tannic quality where it's dry on the palate.
Yeah, there's a sweetness, but it's not a cloying sweetness, and it's not one that sticks to your palate. It's not that's not what it is.
Yeah, I might go so far as to say that this is not a sweet profile.
It's a what kind of profile?
Not a sweet profile.
Yeah, it's not.
Because the sweetness, you got to dig for it.
Yeah, it's not the one. If you're looking for a sweet Anejo or a Reposado, you'll be disappointed again, folks. It's not. Yeah. This is not. This was.
If you're a bourbon or whiskey guy coming over looking at the aged tequilas, this is not going to be an expected profile.
Yeah, you're not going to be able to pinpoint it. It's not what you'll be used to. Okay.
Yeah, I would say it's. But if you're a wine person, you would probably love this.
Yes. I would say if you've experimented with hearty red wines, Maybe not so much well, if you're a light wine person like me, I love, if I drink anything, it's a California Zin, a Rhine wine. I'm not, like I said, I'm not a big wine guy. But if you're a light wine drinker, that Cristalino, that's for you, okay? But if you're like hearty red wine, wines from Napa, if there are certain wines or brands that you enjoy, you're right, Rick. This is for the wine crowd. This belongs in the wine aisle, not the tequila aisle.
Right. This is the way we can bring in the wine folks to the tequila world.
I'm telling you, because it's not reacting, and the thing is, the two of us are going back and forth because I'm not much of a wine person. So, and we, when you had enough of these, you kind of know what to expect. You know what the natural progression is of these expressions. But this didn't follow any of that. And I'm really enjoying it. I'm really digging it, man. There's really, and again, I would say that the Repo is probably a good cigar, Reposado, and this one could probably stand up to a little bit more robust cigar. I still wouldn't go like a harsh Dominican. I couldn't do that, but maybe a really decent Nicaraguan, I think it would stand up. And you know what? And because it's it's reacting like a wine, you could probably pair this really well with food, wouldn't you?
I would think so.
Wow. So what's our bottom line? Are we going to go brand of promise nominee on this one too?
It is going to be so hard to compare against, at the end of the year, against the other Añejos in the category because it's such a singular profile.
Yeah, it's really, really different. I'm going to go out on a limb and go here, brand of promise nominee, but there's something we'll have to do some analyzing maybe off camera and figure out where we can fit this in the category, because it's not your average tequila. It's not reacting like your average tequila, Anejo tequila. It's not what you expect. It is very much.
It's going to challenge your expectations.
Yes, it will. And we can go on and on, but we're not gonna. We're gonna let you guys do that. That is our take on Penta tequila. The whole 5 yards. We want to thank those guys at Penta for making this happen. Casa Aceves, congratulations. Ana Maria, what? She's a blending bruja, man. This is the one we had from her at Corrido, from the same distillery. Yes, she's back. She's helping Corrido do their thing now. This is our third tequila that we've had where she's been involved this year. So I'm very excited for what she's doing. Ladies and gentlemen, if you have had Penta, if you've tasted it somewhere, you've got a bottle, you hung on to it, let us know what you think in the comments below. If you're watching us on YouTube, if you're listening to us on iTunes and Spotify, just turn up your volume. But whatever you do, tomar sabiamente.
Sip wisely.